I like this video. All right, let's look at it.
What you're seeing wasn't caused by bullets or explosives, just air.
Hold on. That's low-key tough.
I've always been scared of air. I mean compressed air. Every time I feel a car tire, I'm kinda worried it could blow up in my face. And maybe that's a bit dramatic, but if it actually happened, how dangerous would it be? To find out, I'm gonna make a device that can unleash 130 times the pressure in a car tire in milliseconds, and point it at a bunch of different targets to answer one question. How dangerous is pressure? But first, why does compressed air even explode? And well, it turns out, to understand that, all you need is a balloon. When you fill a balloon with air, the pressure inside of it builds higher than the outside. And when the rubber can't contain the pressure anymore, it tears, letting the air rush out of it extremely fast. The interesting part though is that the pop you hear doesn't come from the rubber tearing, but from the air itself. When the air escapes the balloon, it expands quickly back to normal pressure, and this sudden push creates a shock wave that makes the air around it vibrate. And that vibration is what causes the bang. Now,
Really?
the pressure that builds inside a balloon right before it pops is about 1.5 psi.
That's not enough.
I want to
We
make
need
it
more.
5,000.
Okay, that might be enough.
To get there, I basically need to make a bomb, pressure releasing device, and I thought about two possible designs for it. The first one is the balloon. I would have to make a balloon that's about 4,000 times stronger than a normal one, and keep filling it with a special pump until it pops and creates an insanely strong explosion.
You might actually die if you stand near that, but an air-compressed bomb would be kind of dope. Like, think about an air-compressed nuke, right? It wouldn't even be a nuke at that point now, would it? Because it would be air-compressed. So what would you even call it? We don't even know. But let's say there was like an air-compressed bomb or like an air-compressed megabot, whatever, right? You drop that on the land. It wouldn't have radiation. It would deafen people, though. Shockwave, explosion, it would like rupture your vital organs and stuff like that. You would die. You would die. I hope you understand that, right? But it would be cool. You know, like the breeze would be nice if you're standing far away enough. It might make the waves shake a little bit. But you'd be fine for the most part. I think a air compressed bomb would be kind of sick.
With a shockwave going in all directions. There is a problem with this design though. I could only use it once. The second option is a paintball gun, which to the core basically looks like this. An air tank with pressurized air and a valve. When you open the valve, all the pressure in the tank gets released into the atmosphere. In this
I still feel like he should do the bomb, the heavy balloon method, because I think it would just be cool.
case, I could reach about 4,500 psi of pressure, which is what most air tanks are rated for, and the pressure blast would also flow away from me. Now all this sounds relatively simple, but there is a problem with this system as well, and that's the speed at which the valve opens. A ball valve, which is the only kind I could find rated for very high pressures, opens gradually and slowly, which means only a fraction of the pressurized air will actually hit the target, because by the time the valve is completely open and all the air leaves the tank, the target would be most likely already out of range. Then, after a while, I found this, a super high pressure solenoid valve. It activates very fast, it can handle more than 5,000 psi, and I'm gonna pretend it doesn't exist. But then, I found something else.
2K, bro?
Something better. This is an air banger. It kinda looks like a pistol, and really looks like a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, but it's not. And I gotta clarify that for the secret agent that is about to knock on my door. It's not even classified as a weapon, because it doesn't fire anything. It doesn't have barrels, and it doesn't use gunpowder or explosive. It's basically just a very powerful air compressor. Its purpose is to create a loud explosive sound for training, alarms, or distress signals. Now these two red tubes are air cartridges, and each one of them can hold up to 5,000 psi of compressed air. And again, that's about 130 times the pressure in a car tire. Moreover, they release the pressure in milliseconds when you press the trigger, and you could even fire them both at the same time. So if pressure could be dangerous at all,
Is there something wrong with my Wi-Fi?
Inside the box, you get the blaster, the two 5,000
Like, can my
psi
stuff just work?
cartridges, and these small discs called rupture discs, which are the key to understand how all the mechanism works. These metal cartridges are basically a tube. On the front, there is a sort of pin, and on the back, we insert a rupture disc this way. Now, when I fill the cartridge, the pressure can't escape, because the valve in the front stays closed, and the rupture disk is intact and blocks the exit. Then, after pressing the trigger, the hammers hit the back of the cartridge and break the rupture disk. And what happens next is pretty fascinating. Since the back of the cartridge is not sealed anymore, a little bit of pressure flows out of the back where the disk broke. This tiny pressure differential though is enough to create a negative pressure behind the front valve that pushes the front valve from the inside and keeps it closed. And so atmospheric pressure is now enough to push it and open the valve. At this point, all the pressure in the main chamber quickly rushes out from the front, causing the insanely loud blast of pressure. So let's try it. To fill the cartridges up to 5000 psi, you can't just use a normal compressor. Mine, for example, can only reach 120 psi. So to do that, you gotta have a PCP pump, with which it would take a while, or a PCP compressor. I have one, but I never used it. And it clearly says here this thing could explode if not used properly, but that shouldn't be the case because I've watched a YouTube tutorial. First, I gotta place a new rupture disc into the center of the cap, and then screw the cap back on. At this point, I can screw the fill adapter to the front of the cartridge, and then connect it to the compressor. Now that was easier than expected. It just took 50 seconds, and right now, the cartridge is loaded. The last step is arming the trigger hammer, like this, and set the safety toggle on. There is my granny in the other room, probably. I'm gonna tell her to go away. Single shot mode. I don't know what to expect. Like, no idea.
Yo, that is sick. I need that. I need that. That is sick. What's the range on it, though?
What?
How far can it go?
What? What?
Because he stood back pretty far.
Did...
Standing point blank with that would actually be like a bomb going off in someone's face. Like that would actually be like a bomb, yo.
And the banger also has a lot of recoil, which I wasn't expecting. And by the way, that was single shot mode.
Yeah, that was single.
Okay, I got another shot. Do I need to cock it back though? Yeah. Oh, there is a mosquito. There is a mosquito. No. Okay, let's try it here.
Wait, but you still only have one shot. You need both. You need two shots. Wait.
Jeez. This is amazing. It's so fun. Also, if I pause the video here, you see the banger is literally shooting a stream of air. So it's gonna be very interesting to see that in ultra slow motion.
Because that is plasma, because if you didn't know, air compressed, like air molecules compressed heavily, build up heat and such, right? Because obviously something being pushed together and being compressed, it mushes it together. It's kind of like friction welding, where, you know, you take two objects and you like rub them together really fast and they weld into each other, and that's because you're taking the molecules basically and you're just pressing them onto each other. That's what friction welding is, and that's the kind of same thing that would happen but with air. You see, the thing is, air is just gas. Air is just oxygen and hydrogen and helium, I think, something like that, right? So when you take them gases and you mush them together or you compress them by a lot, they become so dense and compressed that they eventually become plasma, and that's what the sun is. What is the sun made of? The sun is made of super hot plasma, right? Primarily composed of hydrogen, about 74% of the mass, helium, 24% of the mass, and the remaining 2% consists of heavier elements like oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and iron. Nitrogen and iron. The sun's extremely hot core. Yeah, we're not reading all that. Nobody cares, right? What happens when you compress air? Because the thing about the sun, it's so massive that everything inside of it, or that's composed of it, is so dense, right? That it superheats itself. It becomes hot. Because if you didn't know, if a star were to die and not go supernova or hypernova, what would happen if a dying star doesn't explode? I think it just turns into like a ball of iron, I'm pretty sure. If a dying star doesn't explode, or supernova, it means a lower mass star like our sun. Instead of an explosion, it will shed its outer layers and form a colorful planetary nebula. The star's hot core will then shrink and cool over billions of years, eventually becoming a white dwarf, a dense Earth-sized remnant that slowly fades into darkness. Okay, well, they didn't tell you what it was made of, but it's made of iron. Okay, that's why there's also iron in the sun. As we just read, there's iron in the sun. So it'll just turn into like a giant ball of iron, and of course, you know, the mass and the weight of it would just compress itself back into being like another star, pretty much, or like a mini star. When you compress air, its volume decreases as air molecules are forced closer together, increasing its pressure and temperature. See, like I said, I was not lying. It increases the pressure and increases the temperature, and that's what creates like your shock waves, your big booms, things like that. And that could also eventually turn into plasma if it is condensed enough, and that's what the sun does, because the sun is giant, right? And because the sun is giant, it has a lot of pressure, and it has a lot of heat, and it has a lot of friction, and a lot of like molding. And so it molds all those air molecules, like your nitrogen, your oxygen, your hydrogen, your all the other stuff it said. and then it becomes a star, or like it becomes plasma, and stars are made of plasma. So, yeah, just I don't even know why I brought that up. That was completely unrelated.
Anyways, let's begin with the test. As usual, I've got a few different targets I'm gonna test the blaster on. And I'm gonna start with a smoke bomb. The reason for that is because I wanna see how the air behaves when you shoot the blaster. And the smoke should help us visualize the pressure blast, especially in ultra slow motion. After that, the classic watermelon and pumpkin, then a brand new iPhone 16. We're gonna get there in a
I could use that. Are you serious? Bro.
minute. Then ballistic gelatin, a concrete block, and a ballistic dummy head.
Ooh.
Alright then, let's start with the smoke. Also, for this test and all the next ones, I'm gonna
See if you could put a fire out with it. Shoot a fire and see if you could put the fire out.
shoot both cartridges at once. And even though the wind decided to censor my shot from the slow motion camera, I can tell the power of this thing in double shot mode.
I mean,
It's
it didn't
absolutely
really
insane.
do much, but
Since I
yeah.
have 3 smoke bombs, I'm gonna use them all to try to get the best slow motion shot.
That's cool though. That is cool.
That's why I would love to have air powers or like wind powers, because you could control all that stuff, and if you compress it enough, you could just make a plasma bomb and just boom and just kill somebody. That's kind of what Rasengan is, if you think about it.
This time I managed to get the shot, even though the light is not the best. And it turns out, the smoke is not that useful, because the stream of pressure is perfectly visible by itself.
That's crazy.
Did you see
That's
that?
so cool.
It is an actual stream of air.
That's mad
it's tight.
sick.
It's like a laser.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Now I have one last smoke bomb, so I'm gonna try one more time to give you a better angle with the slow motion camera.
It doesn't look impressive when you see it like without being slowed down, but when it is like super slowed down like that, it actually looks mad interesting. Like it looks insane.
All
you
right,
know?
that's the shot I was looking for. Next up, we've got a watermelon. Do you think it's gonna punch a hole in it, or it's gonna blow it up?
On you, nigga.
That's right. Let's see what happens to this watermelon.
That's more
Well-
damage. That's more damage than what a shotgun would do to it. Like that's actually like deadly. That's actually insane.
I wasn't really expecting that. And I'm not talking about the fact I have watermelon all over my body. I'm talking about the violence of that impact. He launched pieces of watermelon 20 meters away from the table.
Hey, this dude finna have a watermelon farm in his backyard in like the next year.
And the bits that came back towards me actually hurt. This thing is amazing. Anyways, the next target is gonna be a pumpkin. Alright, from now on I'm gonna try to stay a little bit further away from the targets. Because even though I kinda like the watermelon shower, I certainly wouldn't want to do that with bones. Let's see what happens to the
Yeah.
pumpkin.
And it still exploded it. So this dude's gonna have a pumpkin farm and a watermelon farm, pumpkin patch and a watermelon patch in his backyard. Did you see the way it caved it in? Wait a minute, I'm gonna see if he replays it again. If he doesn't, I will. Dog. Look at that. Look, yo, hold on, wait. Let me slow this down. We're at 10:15. Let's go back a couple seconds. Let's do this. Playback speed 0.25.
But that didn't change much. Anyways, the next target is gonna
How
be
far
a
away
brand
can he
new
shoot it
iPhone
before it
16.
doesn't have
And the
a
reason I'm doing that is
strong
because this
effect?
video is supported by Rhino Shield. I promised them I was gonna properly test their brand new
Also, there's a knife like this. There's a knife that when you stab something or somebody, it has like a compressed air nodule in it. And when you press that button, it shoots compressed air in their body, basically blowing them up from the inside. And not only do they already have a knife wound in them, but now they just got their organs blown out. You just blew their back out. Like, are we serious? Why is that a thing? Why genuinely is that a weapon? That's a weapon of mass destruction. That's a terror weapon, dude.
So I think
Terror
this
weapon.
case can actually save the phone.
Too
The
close.
Rhino Shield RX is built with a multi-layer
Bro.
internal damage per screen. And about durability, 8 times longer than the absolutely great bot. Will it survive 5000 psi?
No.
That's right. I could have just dropped it a few times. Alright. Let's do it. I'm gonna stay
Dan-
a little bit further away, alright?
Right, yeah, thank you.
Just allow me that. Like here.
No, that's not far
allow
enough.
me that. Alright.
You need like an extra foot, maybe.
1,
Oh.
2, 1. Oh. Oh,
Does this dude live in a cottage?
that was bad.
That's
was
low-key
bad, I
sick,
really
though.
know
I
it was
kind of
bad.
like it. It looks like a
All right.
dungeon entrance. Like he has an old-style
Let's
home.
go
I
check it
actually
out.
really like that.
So, the tripod is here.
It's destroyed.
I don't know. what
Never mind.
happened.
Tripod's fine. Where's the
That's
phone?
fine.
There's the phone.
It was there. Now it's here.
Did it actually stop it, though? It looks like it did.
Oh,
Wow.
wait a second.
Wait, really?
Oh,
Try it again.
No way, it
Do it
actually
again.
works. Man, after feeling
Do
that
it on the
shot, I
screen.
was not expecting the phone to be in one piece.
One Piece? Speaking of One Piece, now that we mention it,
Look at Mihawk, okay? Look at Mihawk. What does Mihawk do in One Piece? Well, obviously he uses a sword, but what is his power? Well, we see Mihawk slash, and these slashes are green. Why are they green? Well, if we know anything about fiction, what color typically is air in fiction? And air typically in fiction is depicted using pale colors, right? They convey it's intangible and associated with the sky, light, and clouds. However, there's no correct color for wind or air, whatever. Now, oh, right here. And different cultural traditions or genres may associate it with green, yellow, or blue. And if we look at Mihawk, not only is this a pale color, it's a green color. It's a pale green color, meaning that Mihawk uses heavy air slashes, right? Mihawk uses heavy air slashes. Look at this. Those are shockwaves. Look at the force behind that attack. And he's hitting Zoro with that straight to the chest. Those are compressed airwaves right there. So, and look at his aura. That's aura right there. That's air. That's aura, right? So Mihawk's power is to swing a sword so heavily, so strong, to where he generates massive compressed shockwaves of air that are capable of literally slicing things into bits or slicing things in half. This dude is a literal monster with the blade, bro. And that's the reason why he's the greatest swordsman. Nobody can compete with him because he's genuinely just that strong, right? This is like, think of that's like a feat Kaido would do. He could generate massive shockwaves of air that could just cut stuff in half. That sounds like a Kaido type of feat, right? That just does not sound like something you would hear any ordinary person do, which is why Mihawk ain't an ordinary person, which is why he was able to cut this iceberg in half right over here. Where is it? Don't make me look bad. Right here. See? He did that with just compressed airwaves. Keep in mind, we haven't seen this dude use hockey at all within the show. Although it may be rumored that he has it, obviously he would need it to fight Shank. We haven't seen him use any of it. No observation, no armament, nothing. Yeah, he's the only one with a black blade, and he shoots compressed airwaves out of his sword. And that's his strength, by the way. That's not his sword power, that's his strength. Because he could use any sword and do that. He could use any sword and do that. His sword just happens to be not just the strongest in the world, but the only other black blade other than the literal, like, first dude to ever do it. That's, like, the dude we're messing with here. So if anybody ever says Shanks over Mihawk, tell them to literally, like, shut up. Like, actually, like, never tell them to speak, like, please. They literally don't know what they're talking about. Like, Shanks is an actual bum. He has to rely on hockey just to do a simple feat. Mihawk is doing that with pure strength. And he has hockey on top of that. That's why he's my GOAT. He is the GOAT. The LeBron of not just, like, One Piece, but anime. He's the LeBron of anime. That's why Mihawk is the king, bro. Glorious king, king of the swordsman Mihawk. Ridiculous, bro.
all right, let's get into it.
One. This is a great case. It's a great case.
It
The
actually
font
protected
seems
it fully.
perfectly fine. Let's
It doesn't
check
even
out.
look like it took damage.
Yep,
Dog.
it's
Dude, shout out to his barber,
completely
dog.
fine.
Shout out to that guy's barber, dog. Seriously.
It's perfect.
His barber's actually. Wait, but the temperature is high, though. Look at that. Look, the screen is like the temperature is high. As I was saying before, compressed air, high temperature. Compression creates high temperature. Just like if you were to be in a blanket, you would be kind of compressed in that blanket. Think of yourself as a molecule. You put yourself in a blanket, you're getting compressed, which is why you're getting warmer and hotter, right? Because the blanket is smushing on you, creating friction. You're being, you know what I'm saying? You get it. I don't need to explain it to
And I
you.
mean,
You're
the
not
case
a
has a
baby.
little bit of damage on it, but nothing crazy like scratches. And obviously the font still works perfectly. Shout out to Rhino Shield. You can get one of these by checking out Rhino Shield. Moreover, you can use my code MikeShake for 10% off at the link below. Alright, now I really want to see what happens when you shoot a ballistic gelatin block with this thing. You probably know it at this point. Ballistic gelatin should represent muscle tissue. So to
Bro,
I'm tired of seeing all this ballistic gelatin. Just use a real human, bro. Just find like your local pedophile or sex offender, find somebody, and just up that on them, bro. Just up them, like just up it on them, bro. I mean, who's gonna complain? They will. I don't think nobody else will though. Maybe the police, because who cares?
find out if pressure could be lethal, it's gonna be interesting to see what it can do to this block. Alright, ballistic gelatin. Let's try this.
wait a minute. I thought it did nothing, but that genuinely, it sent a ripple, bro. Wait a minute, bro. Dude. So if you got hit by that, you
God,
would
I
literally
felt
break
that.
all the bones in like your body. You're
There is no visible damage on the gelatin.
No visible
Even though
damage.
from the slow motion camera you can see the
That right there. Look at that again. Hold on.
There is no visible damage on the gelatin.
No visible damage.
Even though from the slow motion camera you can see
But look at that right there.
Yeah.
It is doing an imprint. That is imprinting, like indenting onto your skin. So not only would that break skin, because your skin is a lot thinner than this giant, thick, block of gelatin. Obviously, your skin probably wouldn't even make it past like this first, like part right here before it, like your skin broke and you had a giant hole in your arm. Like that's exactly what would happen. It would shoot you. Your skin would get actually like destroyed. And then you would break your bones and your limb would go flying wherever. And if it hits you in your organs or your chest, you would actually die. Like that, like one pump to the heart, you would actually die. One pump to the head, you would die. Like this is a real like lethal weapon. Like this is a gun. This is like a bomb inside of a gun. Like this,
the shockwave penetrated quite a bit. So this
the shockwave, that's what it would do. It would like rupture your organs and then you would die.
because it would blow up.
gets me very curious about what's gonna happen to the ballistic dummy head. Because that one has bones. The sun is about to go down anyway, so I'm gonna try that one right now. If I had to place a bet, I would say the zombie is about to disappear. The problem is that, since I'm scared of ricochets, I'm hiding behind the panel, and the first shot, I actually managed to miss.
Nah, that's not a miss. You blew that dude's nose off. That would give him irreparable damage off rip. Like that would stretch the collagen. Is it collagen? What's like the cartilage? It would stretch the cartilage of their like facial structure and their facial muscles and stuff, and it would stretch it so much that it would either internally rip them, and so that would cause internal bleeding, or it would cause like breaks on the skin, so you would have like ruptured blood vessels and stuff like that, and like heavy bleeding out of your face or your orifices and things like that. Or your nose might actually fall off, and then you just die because you can't breathe. Look at that though. Your nose would definitely be broken.
So, I'm trying again. This time, basically point blank.
Yeah, this is such a... Oh my god. He just domed, buddy. Yo. Yeah, there's no surgery saving you, bro. There is no surgery saving you from that. That is actually ridiculous. It
My
didn't,
barber, when
like-
I say I just want to shorten my hair a little bit. The blast of pressure basically
That
separated
was a good
the
joke.
gelatin from the bones, but the zombie skull is perfectly fine.
Is this the year?
See, the thing about it is that the air pressure or the air compression isn't meant to do actual like physical damage. It's not meant to do physical damage like a gun is. Otherwise, you wouldn't be using an intangible force like water. I mean air, because air isn't tangible. Like you can pass through it, but you can't physically touch or hold it, right? Now, using this weapon, this object, this item, this artifact, right? Shooting somebody in the head with that, obviously, as we just saw, would rip the scalp off of them. It would literally rip their scalp off, but it would also rupture their brain, and they would just die. Their brain would explode. They would have a brainstorm. Like they would actually just like die. So yeah, don't make one of these. I want one though, so I will be making one. But
Yeah.
Don't you do it, bro. I
Just
know what
the
to do
ear.
with it, because I'm him. You know, I'm king.
Ugh.
But
And even though this shot would
His
have
ear came
definitely
off.
hurt, like a lot, do you think it would have been lethal?
yes, I
Well,
just
I don't
explained
think it
why.
makes sense shooting the concrete block. So instead, I'm gonna
I
shoot the
think it
dummy a
makes sense.
second time, just to be 100%
Look at that. There's a crater in his skull. That guy is dead, dude.
sure that
that this can
or your ears, and like you won't be able to see again. You won't be able to hear again. You'll be missing 90% of your brain function. You'll be a vegetable for life because that would literally snap your neck. Like the force of that would snap your neck, even if it didn't like kill you immediately. Even if your brain was still intact, you would snap your neck. You couldn't hear and you couldn't see anything. You would be permanently like cooked.
kind of pressure can't actually crack bones.
Dog, that's just insult to injury. Oh my god. His whole jaw is dislocated. He's fried, bro. How much do these heads cost? I want to buy one.
And
I
well,
think it would
the
be
pressure
cool.
wave
I could
kinda
do it for a
separated
video.
the skull from the neck, but it didn't punch through the bone. So, pressure could certainly be dangerous. But when it comes to a car tire, which has 130 times less pressure than this blaster,
I think you'll live. It'll
I
scare
would
you.
probably be fine.
It'll scare you. It'll
Right
probably
now,
snap
I'm
some
working
rubber
on a
at you, but you'd
project
be
that is
straight.
gonna be very, very cool. It's kinda my first prototype. If you wanna see that, subscribe. And also, leave a like, so I know you enjoy this stuff.
I made a slingshot that shatters bulletproof glass. Yo, I like this dude's channel. Oh, I'm already subscribed. Why haven't I ever, got any like recommendations beforehand? Here, we're gonna do this. I have like a list for people like this. Channels to see more of. I like this guy. I want to see more of you, buddy. 1,000 ants versus a black widow. I'm good, dude.